Okay. We should be good to go. Let me
I
check
didn't
it.
realize that. I thought you were sending the audio through here because I've had some DMs do that. I forgot that I
Yeah.
the YouTube channel. I should lower that volume.
Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to the Griffin's Nest. I know I don't stream on here very often, but that's hopefully changing soon. Well, I mean, we're streaming now, so that's a good start towards the future. Uh, this is the first session of a Starforged campaign. Starforged is a game by Sean Tompkin and Absolute Tabletop. It's a continuation of their system Ironsworn. This is their sci-fi uh, version of it, and it's really cool. I'm really excited to explore this. We're playing this as a co-op, and I'm actually gonna pass this over to Paul real quick. Let him introduce himself and plug anything he wants to plug, and then we'll get on in.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul, also known as the Raven Rolls. Actually, I have nothing to plug right now. I have This is the only game I'm currently playing. I haven't streamed in a while, but uh, looking to start back soon. So I'm glad to at least be playing something now.
Awesome. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with Ironsworn, I'm not hugely familiar with it. I've watched several, uh, a handful of playthroughs of it, but it's very narrative based. The roll really you're only rolling dice to either resolve conflicts or give you inspiration for um, for where it goes next. And we are playing in the co-op mode, which would be that there's no game master. It's just the two of us are going to be characters in this story, and we're going to get into different uh, adventures and swear iron vows, which are like oaths that we take to um, as our grand quest, and then we'll take smaller ones for the little side quests and things like that. And so this session, it is session one, um, but we're not going to be doing any role play this session. One of the things in the book that it says, one of the big components of the book is it says that prep is play. And so the first session is going through and setting up our world truths, the things that are different, are specific about our version of the Forge, as well as we're gonna hopefully, if we have time, hopefully we'll have time to do all this. We're gonna do world truths and character creation, and hopefully create our starting sector with a few planets and moons and things that we can explore as we start in the next session. So I think our goal for this is to stream maybe every 2 weeks or so, depending on making sure we can schedule it. Should be on every other Friday, about around this time, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Now, the only thing that we know going into this, we talked about this the other day when I was getting ready to do the overlays and everything. The only thing we know going into this is the name of our spaceship, um, and that is also the title of this campaign, Ad Astra, which basically means to the stars. Um, we thought that was sort of we brainstormed a few names, and that was the one we decided on that we liked. So that is where we're starting. I am going to read here in the book a list of what they call default assumptions, which is sort of like a list of universal truths for the Forge. I'm just just going to basically read the headers for all these sections. It says this is a perilous future, so it's definitely a dangerous area. This is a lonely future, so there's not where we are at in the Forge. the civilization is there's not a bunch of other civilizations that we know of. It's just sort of the Forge as a system. This is a diverse future, so there's a huge mix of people and cultures. This is a far flung future, which means that it's not one planet; it's a system of planets and sectors, kind of akin to like something like the Star Wars universe. Um, this is an unexplored future. There's a ton of things to explore. This is a wondrous future. This is a retro future. This is an unjust future, and this is a hopeful future. So these are the kind of things that we're going to keep in mind as we go through. And hopefully, I don't know how many people are in the chat right now. There was a couple people hanging out earlier. We may, if anyone's in the chat, we might be asking for some rolls from you guys. Of course, we've also got guys to do some rolls here in a little bit, but we're going to start this off. There's a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 truths that we're going to go down and make some decisions about our world. So, the first truth we're going to discover is called the Cataclysm. And this is the reason why we came to the Forge. The reason why our people moved to the Forge. And Paul, why don't you give us the first roll? Give us a D100 roll. And you can help. I'll check the table for what our Cataclysm was.
77.
77. Okay. 77, it says, we escaped the ravages of a catastrophic war. Over millennia, we consumed resources and shattered lives as we fueled the engines of industry, expansion, and war. In the end, a powerful foe took advantage of our rivalries in a violent bid for power. Fleeing this devastation, we assembled our fleets and traveled to the Forge, a new home, a fresh start. So, there's a roll table here, and I'm going to roll on this. This is going to decide what was the war about. Why was there a war? And I rolled a 6. This is going to make an interesting thing if we go with this. This is a war against artificial intelligence. Does that sound inspiring to you? Does that sound like something we want to lean into there?
Oh, I think so. I'm actually watching a lot of Picard and stuff, and they have the artificial intelligence, the Borg. So I think that provides some nice inspiration.
Okay, that's definitely going to make our technology level a little different too. So I'm excited about that. Just add this over into our Google Doc against AI. Okay, so we fled our home world, our home area, to the Forge to escape a war against artificial intelligence. Okay. The next truth is the Exodus. This is how did we leave? Not why we left, but how did we leave? I'm going to roll on this one here. 61. A ragtag fleet of ships propelled at a tremendous speeds by experimental FTL drives carried our ancestors to the Forge, but the technology that powered the ships is said to be the source of the sundering, a fracturing of realities that plagues us here today. So we basically got in a bunch of colony ships and fled. But it wasn't. It was still a fairly quick. It was FTL, so we moved pretty quickly to the Forge, but it caused some possibly some space-time rifts or something when we did that. We'll have to explore and see what that what was the purpose. What was the outcome of that? Actually, did I skip one in the book?
Well, the second one is Exodus, so it's not
Okay,
the
these are
indication
just
that.
in alphabetical order in the page. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the I copied and pasted that out of the book. So um, let's just add that to Exodus. There we go. Um, let's see. Communities.
Sorry, I have to step away for a second. Sorry, you can continue.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to roll up about the communities. Where's my dice? 18. A few survived the journey to the few have survived the journey to the forge, and we are scattered to the winds of this perilous place. Okay. I rolled for communities. I rolled few survived the journey to the forge, and we are scattered to the winds in this perilous place. So I don't know about how many of these ships took off, but not all of them made it. So
Probably makes sense that we tried this new experimental FTL, and it was, at least there were survivors. We probably wouldn't have survived staying back with the AI. So
right,
as we were traveling in these fissures and cracks in space time or something, and people got sucked in and disappeared. And perhaps we'll see them again. Maybe
right.
we
There's
won't.
no
I
there's
don't know.
no there's no telling. I figured out why the Google Docs the way it is because it's every other one. The table I copied was it
Oh,
was a
side by
list.
side.
Yeah, it was a list on two rows, and it pasted it funny. Okay, um, I like that. It says our settlements are often small, starved for resources, and on the brink of ruin. Hundreds of far flung settlements are lost and isolated within the untamed chaos of this galaxy, and we do not know their fate. So, yeah, that's interesting. I'm excited to. All through this book, after every decision you make, there is a little quest starter. So, we may have to go back on our own and look through these. That's like an idea, like maybe this is a seed we want to look into as a story. And there's also a section um, at the bottom of every thing that talks about like um, what you might want to um, what kind of paths you might want to take uh, based on this truth. So we might start looking at those too once we get to character creation. Okay, the next thing
Uh,
on the list
I
is
rolled. Yeah,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
You go
The
ahead.
iron. Yes, well, next section is iron. I
Mm-hmm.
pre-rolled. I got 65, but I'm actually looking at the first one because I think that would fit very nicely. If
I
if
I kind
you're
of like that too. Yeah, the ships that we dismantled the ships when we got to the forge, and the remnants of the ships are sort of what we swear our vows on. And maybe we didn't necessarily dismantle them, but like as parts have been replaced and
well, they could have been like colony. Like once the ships landed, we use that as our original structure. So
structures
and
as
that,
we were able to as we went to build everything else. Come
yeah, and there's still maybe we still live there since there's so few of us left.
Right.
We still live in there. There was no point in moving somewhere else, and perhaps, well, maybe the ships didn't even survive fully. Like we could
Yeah.
have had parts of the ships are missing or destroyed. So we all, like, I don't know what the rest of the ones will be, but perhaps we all landed in the same area and we've made our a great city out of the remnants of the ships
I
of what
and
which survived.
there's a section I think I don't know which one how far down it is, but that talks about, and maybe this was back in community. I don't know, but I know there's one point that talks about like the different like areas of your world. Like, is there like a central? There's like a central place, and then as they kind of go out from the central world, things get worse. So I kind of like the idea that maybe like most of the ships, at least most of the larger colony ships, maybe all landed in a similar place, and that sort of formed the major settlements, and then people took the smaller like the smaller vessels, or we crafted new vessels or whatever, and we expanded out into the forge from there. So yeah, I like that.
Yes, like shuttles, or yeah, maybe we were, depending on how advanced our technology is, maybe we created new ships.
Right. Okay, the next section is laws. So this is how well governed is the forge. 46 laws and governance vary across settled domains, but bounty hunters are given wide latitude to pursue their contracts. Their authority is almost universally recognized and supersedes local laws. So this is a very like everything is sort of kind of like the outer rim in Star Wars. Everything's sort of like there's laws and there's government, but no one like disrespects a bounty hunter because they could end up with a bounty on you or something. That
Yeah, I like all the structure because there's so few of us left. We have to follow the rules, or we're not going to survive out there.
right. So like I said, I like that they're maybe most everything is fairly locally governed. Like each world, each planet has sort of its own leader, and and I think there's actually a section for um military. I think there's a section for war or something here in a minute that deals whether or not we have an actual like military or not, and I may want to like sway that in a certain direction. Uh,
The way, yeah, I think the way I see it, maybe each ship did land on their own, either on a different part of a planet or a different planet in the area, and that's where each new settlement arose from. And there's like a representative from each area,
yeah,
and they handle maybe a group of people, however they decide to conduct their own laws,
yeah. Maybe
but
kind
it's
of
more for local.
like a grand council that deals with the large like sector or like
Yes,
forge
like,
wide decisions, but all the local things are like governors and councilmen and
yes,
things like that. I like that. Okay.
yeah, I see. Well, yeah, so there's the representative of each area is part of the grand council, and
Hmm.
conduct they manage the laws of the whole, I guess, the forge.
Right.
And then each smaller area, they have like their own minor laws, like for smaller disputes, I guess, for planetary disputes.
Right. I like that. That does to me also feels kind of like Star Wars, kind of like the um, governors and senators within the empire that each have their own their own planet that they govern, but they still answer to the Senate as a whole and the emperor and that kind of thing. I've been really fascinated with function of the Empire lately in Star Wars. I recently read Thrawn, the Thrawn book, and that really delves into that a lot. The relationship between the government and the military. Um, this next section is religion. So, how do we feel about religion? You want to roll this one?
Actually, I do like. I rolled 29, so the first one.
Yeah, the gods failed us. We left them behind. And maybe that was even like, and it says the Exodus was a tipping point. Maybe that was like part of the war. Maybe the war was between like essentially the church and technology, and technology won, and it sort of fractured our faith in the gods as a whole. I would imagine this says the Exodus was a tipping point. The gods offered no help to the billions who died in the Cataclysm, and spirituality has little meaning in the Forge. Most now see religion as a useless relic of our past, but the search for meaning continues, and they're often all too willing to follow a charismatic leader who claims to offer a better way. So I like the idea that maybe the religion as we know it is from what we knew it from the our old world is not universally recognized anymore, but there might be remnants of it, or people clinging to it, or even new factions that like arise and try to claim that space in the you know things like things like cults, or um, local governments that try to kind of like the Egyptians had the god pharaohs, and that the pharaohs were sort of like deities incarnate, and that's something that would be interesting to explore.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess each new colony that sprung up from the remnants of one of the ships, um, yeah, they can dictate however they want, as long as it doesn't conflict with the the forged laws.
right,
If they want to
those
be
sort
more
of
religious, they can be more religious. If they want to be more lawless, they can, as long as, yeah, I think, or like a shared community, like everyone helps each other, or everyone is for themselves, I guess.
okay. So this next section is magic, and at this point, I don't know about you. I kind of want to avoid the first option, so I'm gonna roll, and then we can go from there. Yeah, I rolled a 29, or 26. I I want some
Reroll.
magic. Yeah, I want some magic. I'll re-roll it. So
I like the last one.
the last one,
Is what I like, but we'll see what.
I rolled a 67, so I rolled the last number for
Oh,
the second one.
that's true.
Um, Supernatural powers are wielded by
Okay.
those are rare. We call paragons. So like that would mean that it's not everywhere. But I like the idea that it's everywhere. Also,
Um,
I like that because it says here magic and science are two sides of the same coin. I like that maybe because of our falling out with artificial intelligence and sort of the hard science technology, that we've taken to these new energies within the forge to sort of replace AI and sort of the technology we lost through the war.
there's the one option, so we go with that. But I actually just thought of something. If we do stick with the number two, the
Mm,
supernatural powers, the way the ships were opening up rifts in space and time, and people affected by that who didn't disappear or something, could also gain powers that way,
that could be
right?
interesting. That maybe
So
before the
whichever,
war, really we didn't have access to magic, and
that's what I'm
then
thinking.
through the Exodus and these rifts, these space rifts and everything, certain people gained powers, and that sort of permeated through the years as we've expanded you know.
Hmm.
And I think that that can still tie down to there's something here in the forge, something in the that's that allows people to tap into these abilities. But maybe it's like I said, it's a little more rare. It's a little more. Um,
Yeah, I think it works for either way, either the supernatural or magic and science, the two sides, because it could be science, but they create these magical, like, unexplained abilities. But if you have a knowledge of it, you can control it, I guess.
yeah, like I do
Yeah,
like that. Maybe we've we've started. It is rare, and there are fewer people with it. But we've, as a society, we've leaned on those people to be sort of important, you know, whether it be for technology or whatever. That those people, those magical people, have become important because of our lack of AI. I don't think it's necessarily a lack of technology. It's specifically that we avoid artificial intelligence. So all of our intelligence, all of our knowledge and everything has to be human, and I think that, that calls a lot back to
yeah,
like, like Dune, that's with the spice and everything, which I don't know that I want to go that
yeah,
far with that, but I like that these magical powers sort of have replaced technology in a way.
yeah. I
Okay.
think that's it. Is we could, I think maybe we are keeping our. We'll see how the rest of the roles go. I don't know what's coming up, but we try to maybe not progress our technology too far for
Right.
risk of another AI being created.
Right.
And that's why these supernatural powers, even if they are like however we want to view them, either they are there's science based, maybe we don't want to know.
Right.
We're
Right.
fine with not understanding them but using them to our advantage, because they are, it still is different than the technology and the AIs that we left behind, but
Right.
they're still a useful tool.
And I think that could also even tie back into like religion. Like there could be a group of people that are have gained this magic that are trying to leverage it in a, you know religious way or something, and or maybe there's even a group of people that worship the magic as a religion, as a like, this came from somewhere, we have to, that could be interesting to explore. So.
Yeah, I think the FTL drives are what caused it.
Mhm.
Uh, that's how the energy, like, I guess, I don't know if evolutionary exactly, but I guess the mutations do make sense, I think. So the yeah, mutations from the rifts, and I think, yeah, some people can worship it as a religion, some view, but overall it is used as across the forge. It's a tool and accepted. Maybe not in every place, but overall in the
Overall,
forge, I think
right.
it'll be accepted.
Okay.
Now I
The
want to play as a supernatural. I want someone with
With powers.
yeah, with powers.
Yeah, there's a list there at the bottom of that section that's like, here's a list of uh, either empath, firebrand, kinetic, looper, seer, or shade. Those are a list of paths that like delve into the magic side of things. So something to maybe you to keep an eye on for your character. Um, the next section is communication and data, and I think this is really where our decision with the AI is going to come into place on this. So I'll roll this one real quick. 91. Okay. So this says, in settled domains, a network of data hubs called the Weave allow near instantaneous communication and data sharing between ships and outposts. Now, I like this is but we have to do this without AI. Like it's all I feel like it's there are people that work at these hubs
Yes,
that.
that uh, I think it's still leftover technology from, I guess, the outpost, the colony ships.
Right.
and that's people keep them running, and that's how we can communicate with each other. So if we're in a ship in orbit or somewhere, we have to connect to one of these colony ships, I think, to communicate.
And something that I feel like a lot of people end up doing this, and I like this too. If you back up to the second one, it talks about data couriers, like spaceport, like essentially space
Pony
messengers,
Express.
right? And I really like the idea that these are sort of like a tandem idea. That in the bigger
Right.
civilized areas we have these the weave, but out in the rim and like when large communications need to be made and things like that, you have to do it manually because we just don't have the tech because we don't have access to these AI to this AI. The
Maybe
tech
it's restricted to government use only, and you have to get permission to access it
to the weave, yeah.
to the
Like so,
weave.
like personal messages and like all that kind of stuff have to be sent via you know snail mail. I I like that. I think that that's and whether it's and I don't think it needs to be like one organization. I like the idea that it's like, hey, you're going to so and so, aren't you? And like, yeah, well, can you take this with you when you go? And it's like a data card or whatever with you know whatever information and I like that idea because that opens the idea for even for us to be like take on a courier mission or that feels very Firefly to me, very I'll pay you if you'll take this thing to this place, okay, so I'm gonna type this one so I can make it say exactly what I want it to. Large settlements have the weave, while smaller distant lands use like couriers. Okay, we'll go with that. Okay, the next section is medicine. So,
Now, I rolled 74, which is the Orders of Sworn Healers. They preserve the medical knowledge for generations, which can still work. But I don't know if I'm wanted your opinion if we should lean on the other two more so, or do you like that even though technology hasn't progressed, there's people who are trying to still preserve the knowledge that we used to have as best as possible, even if it's just focused in this category?
I well, see, I like the idea that even within the war, like because we were fighting against the AI, we had to have we had to have human knowledge about some form of medical because we didn't have access to healing droids during the war. So I like the idea that maybe that knowledge was preserved. Like we ended up, a larger group of war medics or whatever ended up on the ships as we escaped, and they sort of maybe even to the point where in the like main world, which I think has a name, but I don't remember what it is. But in like the main heart of the forge, that maybe there's even like a medical school or something that it's like, you know, because it talks about orders of sworn healers preserve our medical knowledge and train new generations of caregivers. So I even like the idea that maybe this is something that is governed by the forge, that is governed by the council, that like everybody has access to to healing. You know, it's almost
So,
like a universal
well,
right.
yes. So there's obviously the the groups of the government. They're the leaders, the healers, and maybe there'll be a military branch. So the law, like lawgivers. Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
that's
like that
one of
too.
the.
And it's not so much like the when we get to the war section, which I think is coming up in the next one or two here. Um, but I like the idea that like we have a military, but maybe it's less for like it's for protection. Like we don't want there to be another war, so we're gonna have these like highly trained like yes, they probably deal with local stuff too when it's necessary, but they're really there for, you know, in case something were to arise and we need to, fight it off. So I wouldn't have to flee the forge. We can stand our ground instead of being overwhelmed like we were last time.
Yeah, I think maintaining. We don't want to lose our knowledge as we. Every ship probably had some of our knowledge, so we managed to still piece it together if we lost any, because we don't want to forget. So everyone has, I think, from the bottom to the top, everyone has access to it. So someone can't say that someone is hiding the information. That we're open about it, we talk about it, and we don't. That's why we try to maintain our level of technology and knowledge, and we didn't want to increase it.
But we don't want to lose it either.
Yes, and that's why we lean on the magic, because that's something different than technology. So
Right.
we feel that we can advance that, I guess.
And I think this next section is really going to help us with that decision too. The AI and looking at these choices, there's really only one option based off of this, and we can
Yeah.
modify it if we feel like we need to. But this first one says we no longer have access to advanced computer systems. Instead, we rely on seers we call adepts. This is very Dune, uh, which you can tell Matt Click had a hand in this book, but. Um, uh, there's a subtable here for like why we don't have that anymore, but like the second choice is literally it. It's AIs were
Exactly.
outlawed after the aftermath of the machine wars. Um, this feels very like Star Wars, like after the Clone Wars, like you know people hate droids because of the Clone Wars because you know they were fighting armies of you know of robots for years, and so. But I think even this next it says the adepts serve a place in those advanced systems, serve in place of those advanced systems. They utilize mind altering drugs to see the universe. I don't love the that idea that we're leaning on like the spice or whatever. I don't
Yeah, I'm okay with advanced computer systems.
as long as there's no
It's not.
intelligence.
Yes. So it's a combination, I guess. Like
I
the second one, but without the AI. So like we have so it's a little more advanced in the first section, just
right.
no AI. So
I feel like the
yeah, that's what.
computers are going to end up being very like late 80s early 90s like the internet is very limited in its like usage and everything is stored on like data disks and like it's all everything's hard coded. There's no cloud, there's no,
Ooh, there's no. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess because every ship had the knowledge, so every colony still has access. They might have had to
share
uh,
information.
share some information of what was lost, and there's a central library
Yeah.
and stuff. But
Right.
yeah, there is no. Yeah, I like that. There's no cloud, no internet, aside from the instant
The weave, yeah. The
communication,
like
except for the weave. Yeah, there's nothing.
and to me that feels a lot more like Morse code. Like it's we can send messages. Like we can I will write out this message and send it and then they will receive it and it will, you know, then if you want to save it, you have to manually save it to like a data disk or whatever for.
Oh yeah, it's there's only voice communication.
Yeah, that
Maybe
too. That would be
maybe
good too.
maybe video, but
Hmm.
it's not always or holographic if you want to go to that
Right.
level of tech. But it's not. There's no data transfer. It's all audio and maybe visuals.
Okay. So for artificial
Because
intelligence, I will put no AI, all um, physical data.
we need couriers are a big part, even
Hmm.
for the governments themselves, because if they have to transfer information, they send it by courier.
Right. When it needs to go from all the way across the forge, there's the only way it can go is here is a you know a locked box with these data cards in it, and you have to transport it. You know,
We're not going to go to punch cards, right?
no, I like data cards. I like that sort of. I like that level of the Star Wars and technology level. The data pads and data cards. I like that level of technology.
So there is no AI, but is there any form of, we'll say, robots, utility stuff like other Roombas cleaning up or mining, doing dangerous jobs,
I
but without machine intelligence, or even drones? Like drones, I would see as allowed, but do we have any
I think that robot
semi?
technology is on par with our current robot technology. Like our world current, like it's all run by a computer that's probably manned by a person.
So they're closer to drone
Yeah.
technology than
Like
actual machine intelligence.
there is a person on the other end of that robot. Like we don't have like robot servants and and that kind of stuff. It's like there may be like I'm at a control console and I'm flying a drone or I'm controlling you know a machine in a factory that builds a thing, but it's all
Right.
ships are flown by pilots. Like there is no
Yeah, we try not to put people in danger, but we know that still people have to pilot ships and stuff. But
right.
if there's mining involved, we're not going to send someone into a mine. We're not going to,
Yeah,
if
we'll
we do
send a
the
mining drone with that's controlled by somebody on the surface. Kind of like the
yes,
current like military drones, like how the pilots of those
yes.
military drones are in an office, on the military base.
If it
So
doesn't need a physical person there, or if it's not long distance, then drones are
I
drones
like
are a
that.
common. So we've replaced robots and AIs with drones.
Drones
Yep.
um, uh, controlled by people.
And that's why the weave
Hmm.
is to control drones. You need to have access to the weave.
That's good. So that like the outer like worlds don't really have drones even. It's all manual. I like that.
Well, it depends how, like, if it's just a small community, then yes, then maybe they have to do their own labor and stuff, unless we found a way to replicate small scale weaves.
Yeah, I like maybe like because I'm
Because I
thinking
like
of I'm
ships.
I'm thinking of like in a factory, like the robot arm that picks up a thing and moves it to the next conveyor belt. Like that can be controlled by somebody that's punching like code into a computer. And like
Yes, they're like, yeah, mini weaves. Like this
yeah,
building has its own weave. Because I don't know how this plays out, but the ships could have their own weave to control drones for
like a
fighting.
yeah, like a small drone that pops off the ship and goes and like does I like
Yes,
that. I like that idea.
scouting and use the drone, use the weave, ship weaves to control missiles and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I like that.
If that technology exists, I don't.
I think we're pretty much like done with technology in terms of the truths, so I think we can make that decision if we want to. Like I think the next section is war. So uh Oh, let me roll on the war table real quick. Let's see. 79. So we're on the last. War never ends. Hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a little too, yeah, high tech. I was looking at the first one and maybe the second. Well, no, you know what? I don't see because I think even though there's still independent colonies, I think we're still all connected. I don't see
Yeah.
someone invading somewhere else. That's not to say there's not a pirate or something.
Pirates or like um
So I think I like the first one. Weapons are simple and cheap, perhaps, unless they're, you know, what do they call it? I think they call it forgeborn or something. Like there are exceptions, but for the most part, because people need to defend themselves against creatures and stuff. But I don't know if
yeah.
there's not, I don't know fully number two.
So number 2 is like privatized military.
Yes, I don't think
And I don't think that
nothing that
fits with
formal.
I don't think that fits with our government like things that we've been setting up. Like this idea of, you know, the forge government and then like the sort of medical field, like I think that I like the idea of a small government funded military that serves the purpose of like it's kind of more like a national guard than like
It's yeah, not so much for war, but
for
yeah, National
protection.
Guard for there's a disaster go help. There'll be
Right.
combination of the
They're
military
like a
and the healers
military
and stuff.
and emergency responders and like
Yes,
I like that. So it's sort of like the civil jobs mixed with the military. And we could come up with a name for like what that group
the
of people are called.
the way the way I see it, instead of being each colony ship is almost like its own country. I see it almost more like we'll say the United States. Each one
Hmm.
is they are their own state. Everyone had, but a little more interconnected, even though they're at a distance. So everyone is independent, but they have to rely on others for resources and stuff. So
Right.
it's
The
not,
smaller
you're
worlds
not going to
may
have California is not going to attack Nevada. You
right.
know,
But like in even though like the smaller like worlds may have one assigned healer and like a small assigned amount of protectors or whatever, what we decide to call them that are government issued essentially from the forge. And the larger worlds have a larger, you know, um,
oh, the way here's an example. We can even go a little more, even though the technology is a little more advanced. We can go like Wild West, where uh, not a sheriff but a marshal is
mhm.
sent. So even though there might be local laws, but there might be a marshal equivalent and a healer and stuff. And there aren't a lot of professional soldiers, marshals. There's a lot of also independents like that can be conscripted for militia for purposes. They'll say, "Oh, we need help. Anyone there who can help us with this disaster?" Or there's this creature right above, with this big eye
Right.
here. We need
That
ships and soldiers.
that to me that sounds like there's like a government appointed official in that rank, and then like if it's a smaller world, they may have to then put together like a volunteer, almost kind of like volunteer firemen or um or
But I
like
see, when they say they want us to go to the academy, so you either go to become trained in fighting, but it's a specialized, like more a
mhm.
defender type, or you go as a healer, or which also we can even expand it to knowledge in general, not just healing. So yeah, people
Well,
will go off
okay.
world if they're not going to become a farmer or something. They might go
Right.
to the academy to get.
Okay, I like that. So maybe there's like the academy, like you said, there's healers, and then there's we got to come up with a name for. Well, here, there's a great way to do this. I'll just scroll down to the oracles, and we'll look at the oracle tables and see if we can come up with a faction name or something for um, if the book will load. Let's see. Yeah. Where is? Here we go. Oracles for factions. Uh, Factions. Okay. Trying to find a faction name table. Um,
Peacekeepers is always a nice one for the military.
Peacekeepers or I'm not even like rolling on the table. I'm just looking at the table and see if I can find a
Yeah.
defenders, guardians. I like guardians.
Oh, okay. Guardians works.
Yeah.
So Guardians. Now we need like the healers are part of the like a larger group maybe of the ones who protect the knowledge. So I think the way I see the academy, it's everyone has access to all this information, but the academy is a little more formal training,
Right.
almost like a trade school, but you're trained in peacekeeping guardians, to be a guardian, which is like so every place might have a guardian to just help in certain times, and also like they're not there to create the laws or anything, just to help uphold them.
Right. So I like the idea that maybe there's the guardians and then there's the healers and then the adepts, which were these, the
Okay.
people that we can kind of modify that a little bit, not leaning in on that like that because I was talking about like the drugs and stuff, but maybe these adepts are people that study our current technology or like our old technology from before to help preserve and advance it to the point where we feel comfortable. But because that could always
So,
spark a rogue adept that's trying to reforge artificial intelligence behind.
do you think the healers should be separate from the adepts?
I like the idea that they are. I like that,
Okay.
and maybe, and we could even, and we can expand this idea of the academy as we go. If we feel like we need to, but
Right.
um, but I like
And
the
I also
adepts.
like, yeah.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
No, that's what we're on this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you finish.
I
Uh,
think like pilots and stuff like that would almost fall under like the adepts, like knowing how to properly fly and maintain a ship, even engineers and things like that as well. I think all of that sort of falls under adepts, or
um,
we could have a separate pilots academy.
I think, well, I guess the adept, you go to the academy. Healer is its own specialty,
Mm-hmm.
and then the adepts will help uh, give you specific knowledge on how to be an engineer, a pilot, things like that, and maybe even something else if we whatever we decide is important enough to warrant education in it.
Right.
So I guess the academy is controlled by, yeah, the group, the peacekeepers, the healers, and the adepts. I think that works. They're the three. They're part of the government as well. So it's almost like the academy runs the government, I guess.
In a way, it's sort of like a tandem. Like the academy is so integral to, like, yes, there is like the governing council of like the sector, like governors or leaders or whatever that form this governing council. I like the idea that it's more like a republic, Like there's not a like there's not a one leader. It is a council of leaders. It is a group of say 5 or 7 whatever people that
Well,
make
if
decisions
if we decide how many colony ships, original colony ships that survived, there's a leader from
from
each one.
each area, yeah, each
Yeah.
sector that has been set up, and maybe even the idea that we talked about, like that each ship landed in a different spot. Even if they all like ended up in the same area, they could have each then like went to their own area and set up their world. I'm sure the ships, even after the FTL, could probably do like local travel decently. They may not could have done another jump,
Right.
but they could have, flown a little farther and gotten to their area.
Yeah. So even though they were damaged, maybe they stayed at space, fixed, repaired, or even landed if they can land and then take off again. Because and then I like that idea. And then they found a different world. So this colony ship one went to world one and they settled there and created their own colony there. It's like, okay, this had resources we needed as a whole.
Right. So
Because because we're still part of the fleet, even though maybe we had 100 ships and we were down to like 15, 10, 15, depending on how big they are.
right. And even if maybe each ship didn't end up or like but they split into a group, we can decide how many sectors we want to have and just say that that's how many groups of ships or whatever ended up move.
Yeah, if we're in one solar system, then yeah, each planet
Well,
that's capable of supporting life has a ship, a
and
colony
I
ship.
I think
And
I don't know that it's necessarily like one solar system necessarily. I think it's more like but because
well,
I feel like each sector is more like a solar system. They have their own.
possibly because then we gotta run into the problem: how long does it take our ships to travel between one system and another without FTL?
Right. Well, and then maybe that's just it. That's the whole thing. Maybe it does take a while to travel from sector to sector. And so there things like
Yeah,
going
but
to
I
the
think that
academy is a big deal because you have to travel to sector 1 or whatever, to go to the or unless we want there to then be, an outpost of the academy in each sector.
well, I think it'll take too long to go to a different solar system without FTL. That's why, like, still to get from planet to planet will take time, even for our ships without FTL. And then
Well,
there's
then
still the
maybe
planets will have moons, so those are
moons. Yeah.
satellites of the main colony.
I like that too.
So
That
that's
that
what
maybe, yeah, maybe it is a planet with moons then, because then we could even explore the idea of like a planet like Jupiter. Like obviously you can't live on the planet. Like
exactly, yes.
so you live on its moons, and like those maybe the gas giant type planets do end up with a ton of moons as opposed
And
to
one
the more
moon is
Terran planets. Yeah.
yeah, like so Jupiter, one of the moons is the primary colony, and then the other ones are like satellite colonies that they can have limited range in
Resources.
their
Yeah.
weave and resources, and but they're all satellite colonies of the main one. So there's still maybe only, if let's say there were 10 ships that survived, and 10, well, hopefully, maybe there's like maybe even less, and there's a 15 planets. So if we go a little more, and then not all
15
15
planets are
planets are
habitable
colonized
or have
or
been
colonized, but
settled.
officially settled.
Right.
There could be, if there's still pirates or stuff, they could be on a distant moon or something, things like that, or a small planet that wasn't worth colonizing.
Right.
And
So
yeah,
so then let's say I like the idea of an odd number, like when it comes to like a council, like because that I think that makes
sure.
for decision making and stuff. I like an odd number. So what do you think about 9? Like 9 colony
I'm trying to
ships.
trying to think if, depending on how big the colony ship is, because remember they're colonizing a world.
A
But
whole world. So all of the moons and
yeah,
planets, like all of
yes.
the places within this world.
So
So
I'm thinking maybe there's less, maybe nine, maybe
planets,
10, maybe 10, 11 planets, and maybe only five ships
five or
survive.
yeah, I like five. Five's a good number.
Five and you know what? Let's go five and not five ships,
And nine
nine
planets.
planets.
Okay. So um that will end up with being like there's so the council will have five people on it and they make the decisions for the forge as a whole. Um
And all the council members, since they are the in charge of the planet, they went to the academy in some capacity.
yeah, they had to
Uh,
like like because obviously the academy was probably set up when we got there, but like within the throughout the generations, like the current
right.
council members have all gone through some sector of the academy,
Because
whether it's
even though I think we have a decent sized population now, but
right.
it's anybody can go to the academy. Like I said, anyone can have access to the information, but the academy does a little more training in specific areas. So how to like you're not going to pull up a online course on how to govern a planet. So you're going to go to the academy to learn
Hmm.
the nuances of how to manage a planet and its uh, satellite colonies.
So right, so like each I think about it a lot like each sector, each planet, whatever has their council member. They're essentially they're like one senator or whatever that represents them to the whole forge, and then each individual moon or whatever has a governor or something like that helps make the local decisions with the sector leader to you know for that one sector, and then to help enforce that there is then a marshal from the guardians placed on each world to sort of enforce the laws made by the governors.
You want to now? Obviously, there's three potential in Guardian, Marshal if you want to go old school, or Peacekeeper. So when you see one, do you call them Guardian or do you call them Marshal? I like Guardian because if that's their official title or something.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think of it like the guardians are like saying the army, and then a member of the army is a soldier. So
Okay, and then
so
Marshal
that
is
a
more of a
member of the
leader
guardians
type.
is a marshal. So it's not really a rank as much as it is
Title.
a title. Like you are a
Right,
marshal. Like if you
right.
went through the academy as a guardian, you are a marshal. And I even like the idea that there aren't a ton of ranks within the guardians because it's not intended to be a military as it
Yeah, it's not a
is.
formal. It's
There
not a
might be
formal
like
group.
there at most like three ranks, like
The
a
way I see it, it's not a formal military. It's just a group of people who are because anyone can learn how to fight and all that.
right.
This is more of a
It's more like
knowledge
it's more like the
type of.
police than the military. Like it functions more like a like you know space police. Like
I
dealing with
guess something
local
like yeah.
smaller. Then they will bring together forces when needed for larger threats.
I don't see it so much they're enforcing laws. It's because it's all everyone is working for the greater community. So it's just they're if in case something does happen, they can request help or assist
Right.
the governor or something like that. So the marshal assists the governor in maintaining some semblance of law if needed, but it's more of a helping out type of thing, not a policing.
Right.
Yeah, you could see it as like a fireman, policeman, uh, type of thing all into one, and then the healers are like more like the paramedic doctor type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. We can go with that. I like that. So under war, I'll put guardians help protect.
Because I don't see common soldiers coming out of the academy, because really anybody can learn how to fight. So it's
Right.
the guardians are not trained to fight.
And
They're
I feel like
trained
it's
to
almost even like I know that the war was not against other people per se. There might have been people behind the idea that AI were taking over. But I like the idea that we don't want to train people to like be insane warriors. Like we don't as a whole society, we don't want to train warriors because that's not who we are. We just want to live and work and thrive as a group, as these people, excuse me. So having people that can
I
protect
think,
us and hold their own is good, but we
but
don't
I think everyone has a certain the common folk have a certain knowledge of how to defend themselves. So if
right.
there's like a space monster with showing up, or some creatures, we can defend ourselves and hunt and all that sort of thing, but
Hmm.
we're not designed for war anymore, but we know how to defend ourselves and fight if needed.
Right. And I think even that could come down to the marshal. One of their kind of jobs as being stationed on a planet is to help train the local people that want to, maybe they don't want to go to the academy and be a marshal, but they want to be able to defend themselves, almost like just like self-defense classes even.
I got an idea. So a marshal, if there is, maybe common folk can be conscripted in militia, but they're not trained for that. That's why there are, I like bounty hunters or just hunters. So a marshal will say, I need a hunter to do this task, not necessarily uh, fight and kill someone. Maybe it's capture someone, or there's an animal or something along those lines.
Right. And that now that the bounty hunters, that makes me think that the marshals, talking about like law enforcement, that yeah, the marshals are not there to enforce law. They are there to stave off threats, and when things escalate beyond their ability, call in who they can. You know, if it's a political thing that needs to be called in, they can call in the governor or whatever. But if it's a hey, there is a group of people trying to raid the city, I'm going to call a hunter, and they're going to come
Right.
and they're going to take care of this. Or I'm going to
Yeah. 'Cause
call like a hunter party, even if it's a larger threat. I'm going to call this like party of hunters to come in and take care of this.
yeah, I think that's what we decided. Um, they're the National Guard, not police.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So the next table, I believe, is life forms.
Uh, well, since we were, or because we pulled up these faction charts, I like hunters, couriers, and maybe there's even engineers, people, because a smaller satellite place may not have engineers or stuff like that, or and also of probably just merchants who go. Uh, it's not so much a buy and sell; it's more like a transfer. So maybe not a merchant exactly, but well, I guess that's what a courier would do.
Yeah.
Transport goods and information from one colony to another, or people. So I think hunters, couriers, maybe even engineers, not part of the healers, guardians, and adepts, but they're just
Yeah, because
professions outside.
I like the idea that adepts is more like specifically like information. Like their whole thing is like history and data,
Teaching.
like in teaching and data. Maybe like a planet can have an adept that goes to it and sort of educates, even like it's their form of like teachers. Like they don't have like, you know,
Yes.
like I need to know this thing. I need to learn. So I want to learn about this thing. I'm going to go to this adept and get that information. Almost like a library. Like the adept is like the librarian of an area. Like there's maybe like a in the larger places like a library may have 3 or 4 adepts that all work there, and you can go and get information from them. But the smaller, more distant worlds may have one adept that is responsible for that
I
whole
think
area.
that's it. So, teaching, protection, and healing are the three core
Right.
of the of stuff. And then obviously, governors come are trained by the adepts. So maybe not necessarily at an academy, but someone could still train them locally, I guess, like
Yeah,
on a
like
planet and stuff. Because they have to have access to the knowledge to it's like farming techniques or how to build certain structures in this
or
environment.
we could also look at it as like tiered education, um
Yeah.
like the lower level education is taught by adepts and it's just like basic knowledge and local information. And then there's like kind of like your undergrad, which is things like engineering, like trade school type, engineers, pilots, couriers, that kind of stuff. And then like the graduate level degrees are things like martial, guardians, medics or healers, and adepts. Like that is like the pinnacle of education in the Forge, is becoming one of those. But you work your way up through, like even the academy has those different tiers. Like you can go to the academy to be an engineer, but it's a lesser education than being an adept, which
Yes.
can also
So
do
wait a minute.
the things that an engineer can do and then some.
So it's like we prioritize teachers as at the top and stuff, not just
Yeah.
that's how society should be.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You're not telling you're not telling me something I don't know as as an educator. That
Oh, you're a teacher.
I well, right now I'm just a substitute, but yeah, uh that's what my
Oh
degree's
yeah,
in.
my mother, my brother, two of my cousins, and stuff. So, well, my mother was a teacher. All the other ones are teachers. So
Hmm.
yeah,
But yeah, but I kind of like that idea that like the academy is more like those big three are like the pinnacle of education. Like that's why there's not as many of them, because most people don't go that distance to complete that training, but they may go and be learn how to be an engineer or a courier or a um, or whatever smaller like trade type position that there is.
the adepts having the general knowledge and the training, like because they have access to the information. So if they have to teach something, they can pull up that information and teach it, and
Right.
or they can
And
research it. They're like,
I like that what they're learning at when they're becoming an adept. They're learning how to use the data that we have available, and they're learning how to teach. They're learning how to learn at an accelerated pace so that they can teach that knowledge to someone else. They may not really know everything about that, but they know how to learn it. Like,
right,
and maybe that even gets into, it's not just, maybe there are some sort of, not in terms of AI or whatever, maybe there's some sort of technological, upgrades or, some level of technology that the adepts have access to that allows them to utilize that data and that knowledge more effectively than the average person can. So that's interesting. I like that'd be interesting to explore for sure. Okay. The next section is life forms. You want to roll on this one? we're almost done with the truths.
First one, 28.
28. This is a perilous and often inhospitable galaxy, but life finds a way. Life in the Forge is diverse, planets are often home to a vast array of creatures, and our starships cruise with spaceborne life forms riding in their wake. Even animals from our home world carried aboard our Exodus ships have adapted to life with us in the Forge. I like that. It's just that's one other good reason to have something like the Marshals and the Hunters, and like these people that, hey, we're here on our world, and like out in the wilderness, there's a thing. It makes me think about during Mandalorian when they go fight the Krayt Dragon. Like it's there, and he gets the Cobb Vanth and all the people there and they go fight it.
Yeah, that's why I like hunters being available. Like obviously we probably be hunters, but we could also be couriers too, shuttling information. And then it's like, is there a hunter nearby? Oh, well, let's see
Right.
what's going on, why you need our help. Like we're not going to be doing mining or farming and stuff like that, but might be engineers or like have some skills of being an engineer as well, and things like that.
Right. Okay, I think we have two more sections here in the truths section. Next one is precursors. So this is like what was here before we got here, and how does that affect us? So, 15. Over eons, a vast number of civilizations rose and fell within the Forge. Today, the folk we call grubs, scavenger crews, and audacious explorers delve the mysterious monuments and ruins of those ancient beings. I love that. I The idea that there are remnant. When we colonized these worlds and things, there were remnants of prior civilizations that who knows when they died out or left, and so there are you know ruins and
Oh, so the grubs are humans like us, or they're remnants of other
the grubs
they're
are
other
people
people?
from our civilization that explore. They're like archaeologists and scavengers
Oh,
and
perfect.
yeah.
Yes.
So because that
Even though
could
we don't, yeah, it's we're not opposed, I guess, to new information, as long as it doesn't lead to AIs, I
right,
guess.
right. So
But we don't
um
have, I think, the capabilities to do a lot of true research on our own, I think.
well, and I like the idea that we call them grubs, but it and to me that sounds almost like derogatory, but I like the idea that because we are all about information as a society, and the learning of new learning and spreading information, that I feel like even though we may call them grubs, it's not a like it's almost like an endearing term. Like these are people that are going and getting us information about.
It's grubs are an important part
Right.
of cycle of life. It's almost like they're not exactly well, they are scavenging, but grubs because they're getting in the dirt, getting dirty, hands
Right.
on, sort of thing. Not
Right.
in a bad way.
I like that. Like that, and that could even we may end up as we start building our characters. We may find that that's something we want to do.
Yeah, that still works. Yeah, that's
So
fine.
the last section is horrors. These are the things that are lurking. What is lurking in the black of space? You want to give this one good roll here?
62, so two.
So most insist that horrors aren't real. Spacers know the truth. So the general public doesn't like it's just like ghost stories and but the people that really the couriers and the hunters and the people that fly that travel between the worlds often, they know that there's something out there. They may or may not have encountered it, and that's probably where even all the stories come from, is the people that have traveled and then when they get somewhere and they tell the story, and they may or may not be exaggerating those stories, but something's out there. So
I don't know why when you said fly, I'm thinking I want to call pilots or spacers. I want to call them flyers.
flyers,
Oh, so you're a flyer, flyboy type of thing,
yeah,
flyer.
yeah.
I like how that
As
works. So
opposed to someone who like is on the
grounder.
ground, yeah, grounded or we could even call them like something like a lifer. Like you're on this planet, you're
Yeah.
there your whole life. Like that's like you've been there your whole life. You're gonna live there. You're gonna die there. I don't know.
Yeah, they're all important. And flyers are the ones who've seen things.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who tend to have, like supernatural powers, supernatural creatures, things like that. Like we know
Mm-hmm.
things. You tend to believe these things more if you are part of it.
Right.
And yeah, someone living on a planet, sure, the occasional monster, or something might come through, but you're not. It's not an everyday occurrence because of the guardians and the hunters and stuff and other
That keep
people
it
that
keep it
yeah.
away from the general public. That most people don't experience those things because they're not allowed to experience those things. They're protected from those horrors and those dangers.
Well, that's the whole point of hunters and stuff
Right, and the
and like that
guardians
too.
and the like. I feel
Yeah.
like that was even like sort of like a pillar when this government was formed, was like it is our job as the the leaders and these people. It's our job to protect the people because we don't want things happening to them like they did back in our old world, where these things started affecting the lives of the general public because we allowed them to, and now we're not going to allow them to. I like that. So we've got
Yeah, this
our.
information isn't it's not kept from people.
Mm-mm.
It just like if they really want to learn this stuff, they can, but most people choose not to.
Choose
It's
not
like,
to. It's one of those things. It's like I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna go to the you know to the wheat farms, and I'm gonna work my job, and when I get done, I'm gonna go home and eat a meal with my family and go to sleep. And that's all they care about, is living their life the way that they're gonna live it, and
and the
that's perfectly
guardians,
fine.
the guardians are the buffer between the
Yeah,
lifers and the flyers, sort of
right.
thing.
Like they're there and they deal with the people that come in, and and there's nothing wrong with being one or the other. It's just that's the life you choose, and that's the
Oh, we couldn't survive. The flyers can't survive without the lifers.
and the other way around.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So I think that's a great foundation for um for what we're doing here. So
I
um
must say this is I have not obviously playing games. I've done this sort of thing before, but
mhm.
not. I like that it provides all this stuff because it fits the specific world without and stuff. But I like how with charts, but you can also veer it to a certain way, and there's still a lot of room for growth. It's not like
Absolutely. It's
the
not
way
end
we've
all be
changed
all.
it.
It's not every little detail is rolled. It's like these are the general things, and even in the book they say here are these things. Roll one, pick one, or write your own. Like this is just sort of here as a guideline for you to make these decisions, and I like that because even like we've rolled some and we're like, I don't like that one. Let's go with something different. Or I like that, but let's change this here. And so I really like that as
because
this is I think a great
because
tool
sure
even on its own.
we could have gone say, oh, let's play this type of campaign and laid it out, but a lot of times, even when I'm making a character, sometimes I see what everyone else is playing, and then I try to find a character that works well with them, but maybe something I'm not used to playing,
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So this is like I may not have created this campaign,
Right.
If we sat down with no stuff, so I do like, so there's still some randomness, some
Mm-hmm.
I guess some mystery, something different, that, and it also helps. Two people might be coming at the game slightly different, but when you're randomly create everything, it's there's still a collective creation, but
Right.
it's also like, it's like, oh, I never thought of doing something like that. So it's a nice way of campaign creation.
Right. Now, that is the last section of the world truths. So we have now essentially created the framework for our version of the Forge. Um, we know that I'm just going to go down the list, so these are not going to be in the order we rolled them. But we left um, because of a war against the AI, and we left on like a fleet of ships that used some experimental FTL drives. It probably caused some issues, and we ended up not all making it. Um, we we are scattered all over this sector, all over the forge. Um, there's no AI, but we have this like we use this physical data and like databases and things like that, and these people that we're calling adepts to be the stewards of information and things like that. Medicine is very important, and we've like got these this order of healers that are like that all these people go through the academy, which we did. That's something we just kind of came up with because of these ideas. Um, People swear iron vows upon pieces of these Exodus ships. Um, that these people that these iron sworn are people that most of them are that not necessarily. I would say most of them are probably flyers, but there definitely I'm sure could be people who are iron sworn that are just on a planet and that's their they swear iron vows and they do things on their home world and they're um war. There's not really like any major war going on within our world, but we have these guardians that are there to help protect the people alongside of the hunters. um and then which goes into like the law. We have this council of people that govern the forge as a whole, but the local governments are more you know smaller groups of local governors and working together with the hunters and the guardians and the healers and the adepts and everything all working together to sort of create the civilization. There are things out there in the creatures and all sorts of life forms. There's even domesticated livestock and things that we brought with us, and you know it's all there. We don't really have a central religion. We sort of left that behind. People are allowed to sort of believe what they want to believe and or choose not to. Um, there are things out there from previous civilizations, and people the grubs go and they check those things out. Um, there are there is a magic present, whether it's from the FTL travel or something in the forge or who knows really. We haven't truly discovered exactly what caused this, but there are certain people that can tap into magical abilities. Um, and then there are things out there in the black of space that most flyers know is there, and most lifers don't, and that's they're all okay with that. So that is our version of the Forge, and I'm definitely looking forward to exploring that. Now, we've been doing for about an hour and a half already. Do you want to take a quick break and then maybe start talking about characters?
Um, sure. Now, just had a question,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know if I want to change something. Um, Now, I guess we're called Ironsworn.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because we? I guess we're gonna have a sword, even though it's a spacefaring science fiction setting, so we have swords
We don't really necessarily have
in
to have
metal.
bladed weapons. The Iron Sworn comes from the Iron Vow. Like it could be a necklace that you wear, and in fact, I think that's even part of character creations. Like you pick what your iron is. I think I may be wrong.
Because I'm just thinking, since I know originally we went with for iron, we swear upon the remnants of the ships that carried our people,
Mhm.
which sort of makes sense, but there are so few of those
Yeah,
ships. I don't know. Did we, if we decided that the Iron Sworn are official or they're more of an unofficial
I
group?
think the Iron Sworn is more like a personal thing. Like
Okay, then
they like people know what Iron Sworn are. Like they know, oh, you're an Iron Sworn. Like you know, but that's not like a thing that goes through the academy. Like anyone can be an Iron Sworn.
because
Um,
also the second option was black iron was first forged by long dead civilization. So I think maybe our we could also, if we switch to that, because we brought in the scavenging, the precursor stuff. So maybe iron sworns will develop from that. I don't know. I'm just
that's an
is that
option. We could totally, that one, and then of course the third one is specifically their swords, which we don't have to do. I like that, you
right.
know, maybe it's not the ships, but maybe this specific like resource that we found when we got here, and like this ancient, but the black iron, like it's different than our normal iron that our ships and stuff are made out
Yes,
of.
it's the way I see it. Yes, our civilization stems from focusing on the past and revering the past where we came from.
Hmm.
But the Iron Sworn are something new. Sure, also the magic, the supernatural powers are new, but the Iron Sworn, it's something new that's different. And
Yeah,
that's the only thing it's been the only one thing there because I thought there's not enough ships. So we said there were five ships. Is that what we said?
five is what we think we. That's how many
Yeah,
survived. Yeah.
to become an Iron Sworn, you have to go back to one of the five original colonies. It just seems a bit because you should be
I
able to be Iron Sworn almost anywhere, I guess, because
I
of
like that.
how it's not an official thing. I like that's the only thing I wanted to change. But overall,
I like that.
I
I
do
like
like the
that.
rest.
That like the Iron Sworn, maybe it was born out of a need to make sure that right was being done. You know, like we came here because of a war and injustice, and these people that have become Iron Sworn said we are going to swear these vows to make the world a better place, and we're going to do it on this thing that's here at this new place, because they don't want to lose this world too. Like we done lost our original home world. We don't want to lose our new world, our new home. So let's
Right.
swear on this new home, on this iron from this new place, to protect
The
it.
Yes, I thought the extension to that, the academy and the government and stuff, they focus on the past. They don't. There's very little progressing forward. It's almost like maintain the past. What we've decided is important. The Iron Sworn are separate from the academy and everything, so they're not in the, they're not part of that. It's something
Right.
separate, and they want to continue moving forward to preserve, not preserve society, not preserve the much. It's not the knowledge. Not that they're against the knowledge.
No, no,
It's
no.
just
Right.
it's the academy almost seems to be stagnant. It's still share the information,
Right.
but it's stagnant. They don't want to
It's not that
progress.
the Iron Sworn are opposed to the government. They are working in tandem with the government, with the local governments, with everybody, in for the betterment of the future of the
I
Forge.
think people see them with a little bit of distrust but not. It's not that the Ironsworn are bad. It's they are not part of the government or the academy. It's
Right.
almost they're outside. They're outsiders,
Well, and
and
I
they
the thing
progress
is
differently.
I don't know that it's necessarily outside in the sense that I think that people that went through the academy could be an Ironsworn. Like I don't think that you know I just think that it's one of those. I don't know. It feels like it's even more personal. Like yes, it's a sort of a thing that we all know that everyone knows. You know, oh yeah, you're one of those that that swear the iron vow. But to me, it almost feels like in relating back to Star Wars, like it almost feels like oh you're a Mandalorian. Like you're a person, you're a bounty hunter, you're a you have this job, you do this thing, but you're a Mandalorian. Like you have this thing about you that's different than everybody else. And some people may be wary of that, and some people may not be. But I
Well,
don't think that
that's what I
that
mean. Yeah,
yeah
I see that some of the lifers. It's not a common thing, so it's a little
right
distrust. I don't mean so much in a bad way. I just thought it's going a bit as an outsider. Not to say they can't be part. Like they they could have been an ex-marshal. They could be an engineer,
right
a courier, and stuff. But I see them almost like it's outside the Ironsworn are outside of this academy, not so much in a bad way. It's almost like Mandalorian or becoming a Jedi or something. But it's like
right
but yeah, they might have the same goal. It's just they go about it differently. I think that's the only reason. But I said, hey, we could both. I guess for both being Ironsworn, we can view it in two different ways. You
right
can
oh
use
absolutely
you. You could be a member of the academy, and maybe your iron vow strengthens your bond with the academy. I can see it as it pulled me away from the academy, but somehow, we're still
right
partners.
right. And I think that that's part of the character creation is deciding what is your like your main goal. What is your main iron vow that is you as it's called your background vow, I believe. And it's like what caused you to be an Iron Sworn? Like what is your long-term goal that you are always working towards? And you will swear vows along the way that are smaller short-term goals. It's just a way to like motivate yourself to complete tasks that need to be done. Like I will swear this as a vow and I will complete it. I'll either complete this or I will utterly fail, but I will do everything in my power to complete this vow. So,
Yeah.
um, okay, so take a quick bathroom break or whatever, and then I think probably what we'll do is we'll go through like character creation, and then we'll kind of end it off, and then we can start the next session creating our starting sector,
Right.
and then
That
jump
work.
in on the story. So yeah, okay, cool. We'll take a quick bathroom break or whatever, and then we'll be right back. Okay, we are back, ready to do some character creation. Character creation in Starforged, and I believe it's very similar in the base Ironsworn as well. Um, but this is where you decide the assets that your character has, which are essentially like special abilities that they have access to, and but also possibly some special equipment that they have access to, depending, as well as our base stats. Um, I'm going to kind of read through some of the stuff here in the book. It says your character's scope. It says you are human. It says the people in the forge are human. So this does not directly provide options to play aliens, robots, uplifted animals, or other non-human characters. So the purpose of a game like Starforge is intended for you to be human. So if you wanted to not be human, there are no special abilities that you gain for not being human. I guess that's a decision you make within your playgroup. I'm perfectly fine personally with being human. I think that that's an underrated thing to be in a sci-fi game as a human, but I quite enjoy that. So let's see. Then the next page breaks down the character sheet with all sort of what it's for. So here's the summary for character creation. You're going to ready your assets. Um, so basically, which I've got all of them printed out um, on cards here. There's also a PDF, I think, when you get the book. I think they're working on like when the game finally releases to the public. They are going to sell a deck of asset cards, physical asset cards that I believe are supposed to be dry erase, which is going to be really cool. Where you can that way you can write, 'cause some of them have like places where you can put names, or like there are like like tracks for like health or different things on there where you can track all that on the cards. So I can't wait till the physical stuff's ready for that. That's going to be awesome. But so we got our assets. Then it says choose two paths. So paths are a type of asset. These to me feel a lot like classes in a way. In if you want to compare this to something like Dungeons and Dragons, these are like specializations that your character has and that you can then upgrade as you play. So, can you think of, are you thinking, is there any paths that you are leaning towards for your character? We automatically get two paths, and then our final asset can be a path if we want it to be, or it can be something different. But we will have two paths.
Because I wanted magic, I looked at those ones: empath, firebrand, kinetic, looper, seer, shade. I don't know what those mean, but that led me to shade and occultist, possibly, which also, but then it also has outcast, and they're under the assets. So, so we choose two. So
Two paths.
yeah. So is occultist the path, or is shade the path?
Um. So I don't think there's a path for occultist.
I was just looking. It says under background. I was just looking at that. So just so what is the path? So I could take. So shade is a path. It's one of
Shade
the
is a
assets.
path. Yes,
Okay.
I honestly think that that is one of the newer paths because I don't have it in my pile of cards here. And I printed these cards out back when they first sent out the preview edition. So that must be one of the newer paths that they printed before they released it to the backers. So, but I think they recommend within the character creation, they recommend that all the players end up with different assets to help keep the
Yes.
game diverse. So if you wanted to take shade as a path, then it doesn't matter if I don't have the card or not because I'm gonna pick something different. But
I don't. Oh, that's under assets. Okay,
mhm.
so I just go to the other. Okay, so which one were you looking at? Or at least your first one.
I haven't. I don't know. So what we need to decide, kind of, is why are we flying in this ship together? Like what brought us together? What do we do? In this, in the ship. Why do we fly, and how do we stay in the air or void?
So are we bounty hunters? Are we couriers? Are we grubs? I think those are the three
Those are kind of the
primary.
three primary reasons why you would fly regularly. I think um,
Yeah, not to say that we need to take
those
path
assets,
courier.
those paths, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, just as a more of a profession
mhm.
type of thing.
So, um, I don't. I think we need to be either some sort of hunters or some sort of like explorers. I think that those are going to give us the most interesting stories.
Yes, I agree. Um,
So either we're there to deal with threats or we're there to discover unknown like things, unknown civilizations and exploring the depths of the planets and the moons and so
which one do you like better?
I kind of like the idea of us being like explorers, like whether we're actually grubs or not, whether explorers, because I think that gives us sort of an option to be like, if there was a major threat that arose on a planet where we were, you know, especially if it was, affecting our exploration, then yeah, we could help handle that situation. Um, but I like that maybe we like as a true profession, maybe we are something more like a courier or like a cargo ship or something. But we use that as a way to like allow us to explore things and like to help almost like to help fund our explorations and stuff.
So you want to be both, I guess.
Kind of like, but not so much the bounty hunters, but more like the messengers and the couriers and the
Right.
yeah,
Well, we have to once we're being grubs and stuff. We go collect, find new information and new stuff. We have to bring it back to
right,
one of the colonies. So being couriers does help with that too.
right,
That doesn't say we can't be hunters as well. Someone calls in
right.
looking for, like I don't know how it'll go, but we still have options.
Like
Like we don't have to restrict us.
to
But if we
that feels to me a lot like Firefly. Like they did whatever would make them money. They'll deliver something. They'll go deal with a threat. They'll do something illegal. Like they'll do whatever as long as it makes them some money and they're not going to get in trouble. Like, and I kind of feel like that's where we're gonna what it's kind of almost would devolve to. But like, I think on a professional like what we are generally hired to do is like be like a courier or a even if it's like transport people. Like I wouldn't, but people, information, goods, whatever. We're a transport ship, and then between jobs we are scavengers and scrappers and that kind of stuff to help keep the ship flying and that kind of stuff. I kind of like that. So because of that, so here's the question: is it just me and you on the ship, or do we have a crew that is sort of NPC background crew that deals with the mundane stuff while we deal with the specifics, or is it just me and you and we're handling
Well, I
everything?
guess because I was looking, I thought I take one. I don't know if I'm set on shade, but I'm going to be one of the supernatural. I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at kinetic, but I take one of those, and I was looking. Okay, what would be a secondary one? Like, uh, do I take where was it? Sniper, or do I take tech? Trying to think what the second one would be, and trying to think it would be more of a fighter. That's like a sniper would be a good example of that. And the tech would be more. So I think it depends what we take. Like if someone wants to be, it has to be a pilot or so, a navigator. Then yeah,
Right.
we might just be the two of us on the ship. Like if you took, just as an example, you took navigator and I took tech, the two of us keep the ship
Keep the
going,
ship going. Yeah. Um,
and which I do like. But if we didn't want to do that, we could say, okay, you know what, I'll
we've got
take.
a pilot. Yeah. Or we
We could
have an
say,
engineer. Or yeah, like I get what you're saying.
yeah, I think it depends on what we pick. But if one of us takes just like navigator, we can still. That doesn't mean we can't have someone on the ship, a mechanic and stuff, who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come on missions. Like just they are technically they're more of a lifer. They just happen to be on a ship.
Yeah, like we hire them to keep the ship running, and that's their only job. Like that's what we pay them for. Like
Yeah.
you know, when we need to get off a world, we need to make sure the ship is running. So that is your job. Like that sort of situation. And I think as careers, I think that would not be out of the question to like as important as couriers are. Oh, we can afford to pay a mechanic to keep our ship running. Yeah, we may have to dock in here and get some parts or whatever, but we have somebody that can do the work. We're not relying on, you know, oh, we've got to land on this planet and hope they can fix our ship. Like, no, we have somebody that can do the work. We just need, keep them fed and
Yeah, I think
paid.
so. We
And
don't have to. We almost don't have to worry about. It's like yes, we have a ship. We use it when we need to, but it's more background. Like someone will take care of it, and we could focus more on planetary stuff. I
I,
guess.
okay, I think what I'm going to do then, I think I'm going to take, my first path, I'm going to take Ace. Um, which its base ability says when you face danger or react under fire by guiding your vehicle through a hazard or out of harm's way, add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. So I'm as being a pilot, I'm great at getting out of dangerous situations. And it just says vehicle, so it's not necessarily just our spaceship, but like if we ended up with a land speeder or whatever.
Yes.
So I'm good at flying. I'm good at controlling vehicles. Is basically what it says, and then I can upgrade it to gain some other abilities later on. So I think I'll take if we're gonna say we'll say we have an onboard engineer that handles the ship, but I will fly it. And if you want to be take you were talking
Well,
about maybe sniper
well, I'm actually looking at Gearhead,
gearhead.
and because then it can move to craft, repair, repurpose, modify equipment or technology, which works good for scavengers to make sure the things work, but also helps to make sure the ship works. So we wouldn't need
That
an
works too. Then
NPC. And I think it's a gather information by studying assembling machine devices. Uh, like yeah, I said I might change it, but I think Gearhead is a good option to
okay.
take. My first one.
I think I want. I was looking at. I'm just flipping through, and this one kept standing out to me. I think I want to take Blade Master. I know what.
Mhm.
I like the idea of a blade. Not to say that I wouldn't have a pistol on me, but I like the idea that you know getting in close and
Yeah.
taking. So I think
Yeah, I
maybe
was looking out something like that. And I think instead of shade, I'm actually looking at, I think, kinetic to be for combat.
okay. So like you can
So
push and pull and like yeah, you have like force powers. Yeah,
essentially, yeah, like the shade was nice and all, but it tends to be more to stealth based
right.
thing. I didn't really see any
With the kind of
exact
things that we're
combat.
leaning towards. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't. I looked at the other ones. I didn't really want seer. Firebrand was the other option, but
Hmm.
the question is, do I want to be a kinetic or a firebrand? Like, those are the two. Firebrand is tempting as well, you know, as well. So it's probably going to be one of those who still have an offensive supernatural power, and then the gearhead is my
Right.
non-combat type of
So
thing.
yeah, I'm looking at kinetic here, and now they may have. I might have. I need to probably get the updated ones, but it's the. Tell me if this is the same thing you have. It says your first ability is you wield kinetic powers. By focusing, you may remotely push, pull, lift, or constrict objects and beings that are about your size or smaller. When you are in a risky situation and draw on your powers to make a move, you add +2 and lose 2 momentum.
Yeah, that's. I think that's
Okay.
exactly the same.
So yeah, so like you can it says you can push, pull, lift, or constrict objects or beings that are about your size or smaller. So any like generally human sized thing or smaller, you can either like push it away, you can like or you can pull it to you to, you know, if you
Which
want
also works as a scavenger.
that too.
You
Yeah,
know,
you can just like, hey, I want that thing and like pull it over. Yeah, that I like that. That's cool. So kinetic
yeah,
and gearhead for you. Is that what you're looking at?
yeah. And the other thing was, if I don't go kinetic, it was a firebrand,
Firebrand.
which is a little more offensive, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to meditate beforehand, and I can collect like a reserve of fire.
Yeah.
Um,
You rest and meditate and you roll your spirit, and on a strong hit you take 3 fire. On a weak hit you take 2. On a miss you take 2, but you hurt yourself, and you can have up to 5.
Fire is a dangerous ally.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm good with the kinetic because it
Kinetic.
has some. I
It's kind
think
of a
this it could
mix
be
of
used offensively. Yeah,
yeah, mix of utilitarian and combat, and because we may or may not see a ton of combat. It may be more you know
yeah, and it doesn't mean I can't
diplomatic
have
and
a. Probably gonna have a gun anyway,
yeah,
and
of course. I think basically they say like you have pretty much everything you need, um, and then because there's like they have what they call the supply. You have a supply roll like stat, and some things there's like a check your gear move or something that like when you make that move, if you fail it or something, you like lose supply, and like it's sort of like an abstract way to track everything you have. So I'm sure that includes ammo and food and water and all that kind of stuff. So okay,
yes.
so we've
So
each
no, we didn't take scavenger and we didn't take courier, but uh,
yeah
which is
courier.
fine.
Yeah, courier. I was looking at it. It basically says um, whenever you swear an iron vow to transport and protect something precious, set its safety to 5. Basically, um, I think basically it's easier for us to transport things than it normally would be if someone had the courier path. Things are
Yes.
more well protected. But maybe we're not like super high sanctioned couriers or something. Maybe we, you know,
Oh no, we're the ones that the
we're the
common
cheap
person will
guys.
hire.
Yeah, we're the cheap
We're the
couriers.
Yeah, the cheap ones. It's like, okay, there's nobody else. I guess we have to deal with these
Yeah.
guys.
And so, um,
And I like
Scavenger.
I like how I have tech and magic at the same time.
Yeah, and I
As
think that really
opposed to
fits with sort of the tone that we're trying to move the world into, especially in the absence of AI. I feel like magic sort of helps fill that void. And
yes.
um, when you gather information or resupply, this is scavenger. By scavenging a wreck, ruin, or abandoned site, add one and take one momentum on a hit. On a strong hit with a match, you also find something unique value, significance, or function. Envision the nature of this discovery, take +2 momentum, and mark 2 ticks on your discovery's legacy track. That's pretty
As I said,
good.
it is pretty good. As I said, I'm fine that we don't have that because yes, we're scavengers, but I think we're at the bottom.
Yeah.
we're
Oh,
not we're not
I
really
kind of,
like
I'm almost like, since you're taking Gearhead as like the mechanic type guy, I can still pilot the ship, but I'm almost thinking maybe instead of Ace, I take Scavenger. Like,
oh if you want.
I mean, I can still pilot the ship. I'm just not going to be as good at it. I can get my stats set in such a way that'll help with that, though. I think. Um, I kind of like that. I kind of like maybe instead of Ace, maybe I go Scavenger. So we can, maybe we're like that makes me think kind of more like, you know, less like the dirty, junk scavengers and more like almost like an archaeologist, like an Indiana Jones type thing. Like he goes for the best artifacts. Like he looks for like the really important rare things. I don't know. So I have
The other one.
Scavenger and Blade Master, and you have Kinetic and Gearhead. Is that what you're looking at?
I think so. It's yeah, not too offensive, but a nice support role and stuff like that. Because I'm just looking at some of these like Lore Hunter, but I think I like the Scavenger one better. And yeah, like some of these they don't fit. Like Mercenary doesn't really fit what we were looking at. Uh, Navigator was is nice, but don't need something like that. Let's see. Yeah, and I don't think we're going to be like Scoundrel or Slayer, Sleuth. I think there's some nice ones, but what's this here? No. Like the obviously Weapon Master is always nice if I wanted more combat. But yeah, I think this is good. It's a nice since there's only two of us. It has a wide range of assets, I guess.
Yeah. Um, and I think that opens up. I don't, in the future, if we say we wanted to bring somebody else in as a guest or something, or bring somebody in else as a third player eventually or whatever, that I think our current paths give them sort of like room to fit into a place that maybe we are noticing. Oh, we don't have this thing in our party, and who knows. Okay. Now the next section is creating your background, your backstory. So this is who are we as characters, and there is a prompt table. There's like um a D100 table here. I think I'm gonna roll on that just for some inspiration and see if you want to do that too, unless you've already got sort of an idea.
I've rolled, but I'm also going to look at the rest of them and see.
Okay, mine said your ambitions outgrew your humble origins. I kind of like that, as that makes me think of maybe I was on some backwater moon or something, and I did not want to be a lifer. I had aspirations to get out there, and so maybe I found a way, whether I stowed away or whatever, I found a way to get to the academy. And maybe, I'm probably not like any of the upper tier things, but maybe I, you know, maybe I studied as a grub, or I studied as a um or something, just basic level, just to get me a reason to not be stuck on a planet.
I think I like that. I think that fits your character. I see the way I see it. Yeah, your families were lifers and they wanted you to continue that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you said no. And you went to the academy to become a scavenger, a grub.
Mm-hmm.
And I see myself as a little different. I rolled, you rejected a duty or destiny,
Mm.
the gearhead part of me. I was sent to the academy. My parents wanted me to go and study to be a gearhead, like maybe an engineer I was going to be studying for. And it's like, I left the academy. I didn't
Mm.
actually finish. So that's why I'm more of a MacGyver kind of character than a full engineer.
Right.
And the fact that I also have some of the supernatural, maybe that makes me a little more, I don't know, volatile, maybe a little chaotic. Like I'm not so structured. So I didn't fit into the academy way of life,
Yeah.
sort of thing. So maybe you were in it before me. So you finished, you graduated as a archaeologist type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I somehow maybe we made friends in the academy, even though we are so different. And I just you were graduating, and I go, yeah, that's good enough for me. I learned enough. I'll join you.
Yeah. See, because that's actually the next section that talks about like what do we why are we together? Was our shared background? And I kind of like that. Maybe yeah, like I came through the academy and I was getting ready to, as a scavenger, I was getting ready to start maybe putting together a crew or something to go explore. And you're like, okay, I'm ready. And I'm like, maybe I even had like, are you sure you still got another year at the academy, or are you? And you're like,
Oh, I'm good.
I'm good. Let's get out of here. I know I got enough information. And I even maybe like the idea that it's less that you you cared more about the information than you did the title. Like I don't think that you're an incompetent
Oh no.
engineer. I think that you don't care about the degree in a way. Like you, oh, I took enough classes. I've got this information. I think I can figure it out from here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that's why I see him is the gearhead. Let me go back up. Oh, no, wrong page. Uh, where's gearhead? Gearhead is like it's a craft, repair, repurpose, or modify equipment or technology. Now, was there an engineer?
I
Or
don't
no, there
think
wasn't an engineer.
think
But there was a tech one, I think. Tech. You may make a move to configure, optimize, hack, or disrupt an electronic system. I see that as a little more formal.
yeah.
Uh, I see the gearhead as a MacGyver, so I understand how things work, but I don't always follow the rules on how to make them
Well, and I
work.
see the distinction I see is that almost within our world, I almost see the gearhead is more like an engineer, and the tech is more like an adept. Like
Oh,
the
okay,
tech is like computer systems and data and analysis, and you're like the mechanical gears and the wires
right,
and the hardware. The tech is more the software, and you're the more hardware kind of guy.
okay,
Which is why you
yeah,
fit so well on the ship, because I feel like the ship is probably fairly, you know, low tech in the sense of like we don't have advanced computer systems or anything. We have enough, but we're there to carry physical goods and data and physical data. Not we don't have our own computer system in the ship.
so it's like though I didn't finish education, I felt I learned enough.
Yeah.
That doesn't, yeah. I just didn't go through like the final exam, the final year. I studied on my own,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Yeah,
I
I
like
think
that.
that works.
Okay. The next section is your background vow. So this is your like character defining vow that this is your ultimate goal for your character. It automatically gets an epic difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty of a vow. It automatically is epic. So says consider what you know of your setting and your character thus far. What nagging ambition, aching need, or sacred commitment drives you? This is your background vow. This vow is part of your character's history, sworn months or years ago. It can be tied to your backstory or represent a deeper lifelong goal. So, um, hmm. I kind of like that. Um, I like that maybe mine's tied to like a discovery. Like I want to make a like a world changing discovery when it comes to like something we've like that I've uncovered specifically like to do with maybe some of these older civilizations or something. Like I don't know. Like I don't know if I don't know exactly how I want to word that. Um cuz it needs to be like pseudo specific. Like it needs to be specific enough that I know what I'm reaching for. Like not just I want to discover something cuz that's a little, you know, too vague. Like what do I want this discovery to affect? That's I guess what I need to figure out. What are you thinking for yours?
I I was unable to, so I started looking at the charts, and
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I rolled was didn't really make sense. So the action and theme. So I rolled surrender advantage, and I guess being a full engineer, but yeah, it doesn't really seem to make sense
Mm-hmm.
like as a vow. But like, yeah, I gave up potentially being an engineer and living a little more. I don't know, like in demand. I guess people want an engineer to come and help them
Right.
to do stuff, things like that. But that's not a vow exactly. So I kept looking, and let me see what's the other thing page 331. Okay. So I'm looking at character goal, and I rolled a one. Avenge or wrong. I'm trying to figure out how to work that in. Uh, what am I trying to avenge and stuff? But
Yeah, I'm trying to
it's
get to that table, that character goal, because I want to see if maybe I can find something a little more defining for my because I kind of have an idea, but I don't know how to manifest that character. Oh, here we go.
oh, looking one of the character goals here says repair technology. Maybe I have something that caught my eye that I haven't been able to fix. So I need this formal environment is not giving me the information I need. I need to find alien tech, alien knowledge to be able to repair this item
Yeah.
to see what it. I want to know what this thing does, and I think the only way is to follow you, scavenging information and stuff.
Okay, I like that. I rolled gain riches. So maybe I don't know. Like I always pictured, like I was originally picturing myself more like an Indiana Jones type, which would be more like find these uh, relics and stuff to preserve them and to study them and that kind of stuff. But maybe it's like I want to hit the mother lode. I want to find like I want to make a discovery that will set me up for the rest of my life.
I vow to determine the purpose of this alien tech.
Okay. Um I'm gonna roll one more time on that table and see if get something a little 9. Claim a resource. Okay, so that's a little more noble. um,
Um, or black iron. You want to find a way. I think people have found black iron, but not created.
not
Maybe
all.
you're trying to find a source for it.
Yeah, but maybe we have like there are chunks and like small pieces of it scattered that we can like use as our to swear our vows on, but there's not enough for it to be useful as a like resource.
Yes, exactly. And you're trying to find a way to either create it or to find more of it, I guess.
Okay, I kind of
We
like
don't have
that.
the knowledge. We don't have the knowledge of creating it. We just know.
We know it's here, and maybe people have started to experiment with it to figure out what its properties and stuff are, and they've noticed that it's a good resource. We just don't have an abundance of it. So, okay, I swear to find a um
Worth of black iron.
yeah, to find enough black iron for the whole colony or for the forge.
Yeah, either a source of it or how to create it. Either
Yeah.
way.
I swear
I
to
think
find
it's
enough black iron for the forge. Okay, I like that. And who knows, our like goals may end up crossing, you know,
maybe this tech device creates black iron.
creates black iron, or maybe it locates black iron, or maybe
Yeah.
right? Okay. Now the next section is says board your starship. Um, we both you should have it in your stuff. There is a starship asset that is a shared asset between us. It starts with your armed multi-purpose starship is suited for interstellar and atmospheric flight. It can comfortably transport several people, has enough space for cargo, and can carry and launch support vehicles. When you advance, you may spend experience to equip this vehicle with module assets. Um, and then it has a track down at the bottom that is essentially its health. Um, now there's a roll table to give this a history. So let's see. 81. Stolen from a notorious crime boss or criminal organization.
I don't know if that
Yeah, I don't know that
works.
fits.
Yeah.
If you go up one, a lot of times they say if you don't like a roll, either go up or down one on the table. Um, Up one
Purchased
is
at a
purchased a
suspiciously.
suspiciously cheap price. I like that. Or taken while fleeing an attack or disaster. I don't really. I think if we're just gonna go up one, I think purchased at a suspiciously cheap price. Um,
Not that you told me that. Maybe this is more like it's maybe it's our ship. I don't know, but maybe it's or maybe that's what we pulled our resources together and that's what we could afford.
yeah,
It's like, wow, that's a stroke of luck.
yeah.
But hey,
Now, and I like I said, I kind of want to. I kind of okay with just kind of leaving that open. Um, but But it's
go
almost
for
like was it cheap because it didn't work, or was it like did we discover that quickly why it was cheap, or have we still not discovered why it was cheap?
I think that I looked it over and it works. I don't see my character caring why it was cheap. I think I don't know if your character would. It's still worrying about it, like to come to bite us back in the ass or something.
Yeah, I think yeah it was cheap. we got it cheap. We were like, maybe we wondered for a while, and then we thought, well, we bought it and it's ours, so we'll live with it. So
The way I see, maybe we should bring this up. There isn't, for most places, at least if it's a civilized area and people are living like within the colonies, protection and stuff. Um, why can't I think of words? Food, lodging, health, all that stuff is paid for, like it's included. Like survival stuff to survive is included, but that doesn't mean people may not do, a lifer may not need money and coin, but flyers do.
yeah,
That doesn't mean, say, a lifer doesn't have any extra coin. They might have done something and got some coin, but they don't need to buy. They have no wants outside of basic needs. Even education, all that stuff. So I think that's why we didn't have a lot of money, because maybe we just had a few coins, and it's like someone sold it to us. It's like, why did they do that?
yeah.
Maybe we'll find out one day. Maybe we
Maybe
won't.
we won't. Okay, the next roll table is it says envision your starship. So it's like a roll table to like it says uh if nothing occurs to you now, you can flesh it out in play or roll once or twice on the table below. So I like the idea maybe we each roll once on this table to like get us sort of a general picture of something about the ship, and then as we go we can make other stuff up as we go. So
Actually, I think the previous thing is who owns it. I guess we are both co-owners.
I like that. I like that maybe we bought it with the purpose of our business, our scavenging business. Like it's sort of
And
almost like
then
a business ship.
yeah, and if anyone joins us, they are added on to the crew, not as owners of the ship, unless they permanently join the game, I
Yeah.
guess.
Like I feel like at multiple points in our time as you know grubs, we've probably taken on temporary crew members that we really need this specialist for this specific job we're going to do. Will you come with us for this job? And then we pay them, and then they go back to whatever they were doing. You know, but we own the ship, but
Yes, if we have a guest player, yeah, that's what I
yeah,
mean. That
right. Okay,
works.
so I'm gonna roll. If you want to roll on this table, I rolled a 47. It says
I'm just looking at that one.
old blood stain in the airlock reappears even when painted over. I
Oh,
like
that's
that.
tricky. Perhaps this ship is an old shuttle from one of the colony ships.
Maybe it's
And
left over from like it's an old ship, yeah. And this
yeah,
maybe is a stain from the AI wars,
why that's happening, I don't know. And I rolled 99.
Mm,
Timers and clocks are always just a bit off. Yeah, you just hit it a few times,
it'll
it'll be
reset,
fine.
yeah.
Maybe, it's, oh, yeah, we still have a quarter tank of fuel. Oh, wait. Oh, no, we don't.
Yeah. Another one, just looking up and down the list that I like, that I think would be useful for us, is where it's 66 through 70. It says removable plate decks provide access to hidden storage. I think that's just always useful on a ship like this. Having a place to
Sure.
hide something, we get a haul from a scavenging job, and then we take the stuff we want and we hide it, and then we take the rest of it back and we sell it.
Actually, I have a question because I was reading something else and it just gave me an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Is our ship an old shuttle from a colony ship, or is it it's not a human ship?
Like it's a ship from the old civilization that was
Yeah,
here.
yes, and but we don't know why someone's selling this, but that blood stain could be a reason why that keeps appearing. So it's a little different. It's not like a human reason, it's an alien reason. that it keeps appearing. And that's maybe one of the reasons that it was sold cheap.
Yeah, people don't
It's the
understand it, and they're like, yeah, they're superstitious, and that's interesting. So that maybe, because I imagine that like at this point we have been in the forge for at least a couple of generations, at least 2 or 3 generations we've been here. So I'm sure that any like easily accessible technology that was here when we got here was repurposed years ago. So the idea that maybe this was someone found the wreck of this ship on a planet and then used our technology to like boost it back to life, and then it's been passed down and now we have it. I like that. So maybe it's a little, it looks different than the like fresh made colony, owned stuff. Maybe if it's even like got pieces of it that are made from black iron or something that's different than,
oh,
you know,
but it should be worth more. But that bloodstain probably no
yeah,
one wants to buy
no
it.
one wants. Yeah, there's something up with the ship, and we've just kind of come to live with it at this point. Maybe even like when other people see our ship, they're like, "You fly that?" Like,
The way I think I see it, so there are old. Maybe there's no new ships. There's some old shuttle ships
mhm.
because resources. I still see them not rare, but they're used in different areas. So old shuttle ships and precursor ships
Mhm.
that are found, ancient ships. Now, the ancient ships are usually fixed up nicer, and people with maybe a little bit of extra money, or maybe the academy, tend to have those more so than
Mhm.
the older shuttle ships. So the fact that we have an ancient precursor ship, uh,
Right.
that actually, but it's not fixed up
Right.
probably because of the
It's just,
yeah
it's held together with, you know, gum and duct
duct
tape
tape.
and yeah, okay, I like
Yeah,
that.
and I'm the one keeping it together right now.
Right.
That's but our plans are to fix it up because we don't care about the blood stain, or do we?
Right.
I don't.
No.
But we want to turn it back into its former glory, I guess. So, like, if there's some black iron missing, maybe there's some titanium or something, whatever.
Right. We've
What do they
replaced
say?
the panel with something newer just
Yeah,
because we don't have the thing to replace it properly. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a few. So it's space worthy, but just barely, I guess.
Right. Okay. So the last thing in character creation, well, the last two things, we get a final asset. Now, this asset can be a module for our ship. It can be a support vehicle, so a non-ship vehicle. Uh, it can be a companion, or it can be a third path, if that is what you want it to be. Now,
But we both get a.
we each get a third asset.
Oh, okay.
So,
Actually, I was gonna say It mentions a starship name. Are we calling it Ad Astra
I
or?
like that. I don't think that's Ad Astra or just Astra or how
I think.
unless you want to maybe roll on a table, but
Well, I rolled and then it was called Poltergeist, which I just thought was funny. But I
I
like
don't
Ad
mind.
Astra.
Either way. I don't mind Poltergeist.
I
Uh,
just maybe that's the timers and clocks rolls a bit off, but I fixed them. They work, but there's something off
yeah.
about them, and the old blood stain. So Poltergeist is a little funny, or maybe that was the previous name. We're calling it Ad Astra.
Or
I
maybe
don't know.
like maybe the official name of the ship is Ad Astra, but maybe we just call it Poltergeist. Like Ad Astra maybe is even like the name that the guy that sold it to us called it. Like
the previous name, but we had it re-registered as Ad Astra because we don't we didn't believe any of that, but now things start
Yeah,
happening.
or yeah, either way, how it.
I think we're calling it Ad Astra. I think maybe calling it after the ship is one idea. I don't know. It's up to you. I'm fine either way. I just thought it was funny that I rolled
Rolled poltergeist.
62. Yeah, which makes sense to the two things that we rolled.
Yeah, we can just maybe we can think on it a little and decide. And I still like Ad Astra for the campaign regardless. But whether we
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but whether we'll decide as we go. Okay, so for the final asset, I'm probably going to go with a non-path asset. I don't know exactly what yet. I'm looking through them here. I don't think I want a companion. If you want to go that route, that's fine. But I don't think I want a
Uh,
companion.
an a workshop module. Uh, we could go with, I guess, another vehicle.
Hmm
Uh,
I was kind of looking at maybe a support vehicle.
a
Um,
service pod. We get a drone. Oh, the rover, which is good when we actually land somewhere.
yeah, I was
Uh,
kind of thinking a rover. That way we'd have like when we go out and we're selling our wares to someone and we can just load them up in our rover and take them to the
yeah,
or when we go out scavenging on a planet we can take our rover so we can bring stuff back and that kind of stuff. I kind of
and so I guess so. If you, for example, you could take a support vehicle and I take something else.
yeah.
Um,
So like maybe you take a
let's see.
module up something for the ship or
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I'm going to see if there's something that we can flavor as advanced tech. Because our vehicle is clad in iron, the reinforced hull is one something that makes sense. Um, let's see, the workshop, if I'm being greedy, vehicle bay, um, sensor array would work for our profession.
yeah. Shields. I mean, the thing about a workshop, like you already get a +1 to repair, don't you? As a
Uh,
gearhead,
Probably. Um, let's see. So
so that
I'm
would give you a
thinking,
+2 to repair if we had a workshop.
I'm looking at engine upgrade, expanded hold. Um, Sensor array. Reinforced hull just sort of makes sense as well. Um, yeah. Let me just look at the companions. Just in, let's see, a banshee, a banshee companion.
Yeah, I think it's like I want to say it's kind of like a bird type creature.
Yeah, it it could be based off of that image.
The
I just
image there.
thought it's funny if we like a poltergeist
Yeah.
follows us around.
Yeah.
That would be funny. Let's see, companion bot. We didn't want those.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid robots.
Yeah. So protocol Rockhorn. No. Sidekick. Hey, yeah. Um, right. Symbiote. Ooh, Void Glouder sounds cool.
Yeah, it's basically like a basic. I think of it kind of like a space whale.
Yes, with the fact that you can also use it as a mount.
Hmm.
Are we able to take deeds? I don't know how those
No,
work.
we can't. We don't take deeds. Deeds are for, I think, when we complete certain missions or something. It we may be rewarded a deed. I think is how that works.
All right, so I think I narrowed it down. I think engine upgrade, expanded hold, reinforced hull, or sensor array. I guess even shields would work, but I don't know if we want reinforced hull. It's just sort of because it makes sense. I don't know if
Yeah,
I only want it for story reasons.
I like it
Uh,
because like look at the like where we can level it up. Um, it
or,
the second tier of it, or the second choice, basically it helps us like catch people off guard while we're in our ship,
right,
and then the third one is by letting your plated hull take the hit, add +1 and take 1 momentum. Basically, um, we can choose to take a hit to further our, like if we get that, like we can use the reinforced hull as a way to gain an advantage. If we, and specifically, I think since this would be your asset, I think you would have to spend your XP to upgrade the module, just like I would have to spend mine to upgrade the rover, even though I benefit from the module in the ship and you benefit from having access to the rover. I think we have to spend our own XP to upgrade them. But yeah, I like it. I mean, whenever you withstand damage, add +1 on a strong hit, take a +1 momentum. I think that's useful.
yeah, I think it fits. What we were saying, it's made out of
It's got black iron on the
black
hull.
iron,
Yeah,
right? And then we can say we found some black iron if we upgrade it, because the distinctive color will be the black.
right. The
Uh,
more black, because most at this point, I feel like most black iron or most like precursor ships, they might like paint it black. They may like paint the ship like the new replacement parts that are made out of whatever other metal. They may paint them black to
yes,
match, but they you can tell that that is not black iron. Like it doesn't look it black iron. I feel like black iron almost has that.
Vanta black.
Yeah, like it's like blacker than black, like that. And they can never match it with paint. And so like like it looks fine, but when a ship has been
Yeah,
upgraded improperly.
it's not exactly Vanta black where we have stealth, but it's a very dark black. But
Matte, very, yeah.
no, because we Vanta black would go into stealth tech, which could have been an idea, but I see it. There's a certain uh background radiation will make it shimmer.
Hmm. Almost
It's
like a
black, but
like
it
an oil
shimmers.
slick.
Yes, but if it's painted black, it just has more of a matte
Hmm.
finish. Not Vanta black, like you can still it'll still reflect, but won't have that shimmer.
Hmm.
So they can match the basic color. Like maybe on a planet, it may not be able to tell the difference, but in space, you definitely can.
Right. So yeah, I like that. Okay, and the last thing after we've got all our assets, the last thing is to set our stats. The 5 stats are edge, heart, iron, shadow, and wits. Edge is essentially like your it's basically like your dexterity, your agility. Heart is your willpower and your courage and your emotions. Iron is your physical strength and prowess and things like that. Your shadow is your sneakiness, deceptiveness, cunning, like that kind of wisdom type things. but then wits is your knowledge and expertise and your perception and that kind of stuff. So we each get a 3, 2 twos, and 2 ones to put in those how we choose. Now I picked Blade Master, so I feel like I think my 3 needs to go in iron, maybe.
Guessing the gearhead would need wits,
Wits, yeah.
and the kinetic needs.
Maybe edge. Or is it? Do you think it's maybe a heart thing?
That's a good question. I think just because I think I like the edge part. Um,
That's going to
I,
be good, I think, when like if you're going to be using a ranged weapon, like a pistol or like a gun. I think edge is what you use for that. I think. Let me check the combat moves, and I can tell you. Um, quest moves, exploration moves, combat moves. Yeah. So when you attack at close quarters, you roll iron, and when you attack at a distance, you roll edge. So doing attack with your kinetic, I think, would be an edge attack.
now the question is, we said that he was very, probably very smart and stuff. So the
Mm-hmm.
question is, do I put the wits at a 3 or the edge?
I think your wits should be at a 3, and then your edge, maybe your edge and your shadow, maybe at 2. Or do you think your
Oh,
edge and your
shadow.
heart?
I was thinking heart, but if you're gonna go, which okay, well, let's see what your. So I'm guessing your iron is going to be at a 3.
Probably 3 iron, and then 2 at probably wits, and maybe two for wits and heart for me.
Then I guess I'll take the shadow, just to balance it off. Then,
Okay,
so
so you'll
edge and
take edge
shadow
and
at the 3.
shadow with wits at 3, and then your iron and heart at 1.
Yeah, I guess I'm not very social. Uh, I'm probably loyal to you, but not many other people.
Maybe.
I just, yeah, the willpower is the only thing, but I guess we need someone with the shadow, so I think that works. It's only a 1 difference, so.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can still have a good roll. It's more than likely there's a lot of times when the dice are going to do more damage than the stats are. Like I don't know if you are 100% sure looked into how the dice rolls work, but you roll a d6 is your, I think they call it your power die or your skill die or whatever. So this is your stat, the d6 is, and you're going to add to that whatever stat that the roll has you add, plus whatever bonuses that maybe your assets or whatever will have you add. And then you're going to roll 2d10, and you have to roll. I think you have to roll over the d10s, not meet, but roll over. And if you roll over both of them, it's a strong hit. If you roll over one of them, it's a weak hit, and if you miss on both, then it's a miss. So most things have like on a strong hit do this, on a weak hit do this. It has most of the time that's going to direct you to make more moves. Which may or may not have a dice roll. Then there are also, I think, what's called progress rolls, where instead of rolling your d6, you're going to roll the 2d10s and compare them to a progress track that you have. How far along the progress are you versus what is the challenge. I think these are called challenge dice, I think is what these are called, what the D10s are called. I'd have to look back at the rules, but yeah. So set your condition meters. There's a couple, like a handful of other things here, most of which are less mechanical. This one is a little more mechanical. It says set your condition meters. Set your health, spirit, and supply to 5. This actually has a cool thing. If you have a printed out version of the character sheet, if you end up going that route, it has a way for you to use paper clips as like
Yeah.
markers, which I think is really cool. And so you set your health, spirit, and supply at 5. You set your momentum to 2. And then you write in your max momentum as 10 and your reset as 2. Because
it starts off the default like that on the form fillable one tracker.
Now, what's going to change is as you take impacts, which are as you fail different things and you take on these impacts. For every impact you have, your maximum momentum will lower 1. Will go down by 1. After your first impact, your reset will move to 1, and then after your second one or more, you will reset to 0 momentum instead of 2 or 1. So, keeping those impacts resolved, I think there are only a handful of permanent impacts. But for each of those, it will affect your momentum, which momentum is used to, I think, change the challenge dice, I believe. I think it's like you set the value of a challenge die to your momentum or something like that, or I'd have to look at it exactly to see how it works. And then it says set the integrity of your command vehicle and any support vehicles to their max value. Your starships is 5, and my rovers, I believe, is also 5. So,
And then the vehicles, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then it's next one's envision your character. So this is basically what do they look like, what do they wear. We can kind of do that, I think, between now and the next session. Maybe we'll find some art to flash up or something. Name your character. I want to use one of the cool name roll tables here. So I'm going to roll twice on this table and see if I can figure out a name. 29. Arnav. No, that's 9. 29. Echo. I like Echo.
A name that I commonly use is Sovereign Poe.
Mm-hmm.
I was Edgar Allan Poe, Raven. Sovereign was just the name of a street near where I lived, and I rolled 86 Severinus. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to change it to Sovereign. And then I rolled a 22, and I got reused. So I won't use Poe, but I'll just leave it as Severinus.
Severinus.
Yeah.
Severinus. Yeah, okay.
Severinus reused.
Okay, and I got Echo, and I rolled a 91 Bond. I'm actually going to I'm going to go down a number on that one. Under Bond is no Bond. Where was I at? No. I was looking at another spot. I saw Booker. I actually like Booker better. I think I'm gonna go Echo Booker.
Use if going up and down, I go to O'Brien. I don't. Severinus O'Brien doesn't sound rude.
Yeah.
And Severinus Thallard. I don't want the alliteration. So for now, I'm going to keep it as reused.
Okay.
And call sign, let me see. I rolled 16 brick. I don't see him as a brick.
I rolled an 18. Buzzard. I like Buzzard. I'm a scavenger.
I looked at these before and I was hoping I rolled 72. I got Rook, which is similar to the Raven.
If you want to take Rook, take it, because I'm Buzzard, and so that would make us both birds.
With Severnus, I want to go Savern. Then I go Savern, Poe, and Raven, and then I'm back to my normal. It's the same character. Well, it's just the same character name that I always play.
Well, Severinus makes me think like the one place my mind goes is Severus, like Snape. That's where my mind goes.
There's a snipe. A snipe is a bird.
Snipe,
instead of Snape. Let's see. Let me go through and see if there's another bird. There's
Albatross Phoenix. Is on there.
Phoenix. If I had gone Firebrand, the Phoenix would have been good. Albatross. Oh, so much with that.
Basilisk is on here. That's like a snake, which makes Yeah,
but I like the bird.
Yeah, I like the bird thing too.
So you're Buzzard?
Buzzard. Yeah.
Let's see. Well, there's even a fire starter. I'm not in that line. So what did we say? Okay, Rook. Snipe. What? I know it's a bird.
Yeah.
I think. Pretty sure it's a bird. Okay, snipes. Like a sandpiper type of thing. Let's see. A wading bird. Very long, slender bill, eyes placed high on the head, and cryptic camouflaging plumage. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with snipe. If I'll get a rifle, I'll be a sniper.
Okay, I like snipe. So Buzzard and Snipe. I like that. The next section just says gear up. It says you won't need a detailed list of equipment. That's what the supply list is for. You do get what's called a spacer kit, which includes a sealed environment suit, flashlights and headlamps, toolkit, medkit, and personal communicator. So that's just basically anything we feel like we need, we'll have. And that's all of character creation. So the only things we still need to kind of do is do like visual, like find art for our characters, possibly art for our starship. Now the book comes with a fantastic like isometric view of a spaceship, which I think is awesome. But if we find maybe something a little more alien-esque that we might want to find, we'll find that, and I'll try to have them ready to pop up on the stream next time. But we're gonna the next thing on the list is building the starting sector. So where are we gonna start the story at? I think that would be the best thing to start the next session with. Do this starting sector. build if we build like 5 or 6, 7 planets, whatever in this sector, all their resources and stuff, and then we pick where we want to start. And then so I think maybe the first half of the next stream, first half or so, give or take, we'll be starting building the starting sector, and then we'll start in on the story and establish what's going on. I think that'll be a um, great way to go. Do you have anything you want to say before we wrap up stream?
I don't think so, but as I said, this has been a lot of fun. Uh, just in creating the a lot of work and went into this, and
Oh yeah.
because sometimes it's random is nice, but there's times that when you come up with a story behind how these things that we wrote down are connected, um, it's nice that you make a few changes here and there, but it's nice as a good framework to start something. And I'm liking the system so far. So
Yeah, absolutely. I sent the other day, and I read most of the first chapter of the book is all the rules, like the basic rules of the game, like how rolls work, how momentum works, and all that kind of stuff. And so I sat and I read through that whole chapter, and I was like, okay, this is less daunting now that I've read it, and it seems like it's a little more forgiving than it originally looked like it was going to be. But it's very story, like they wanted it to be very story driven. Like if you think something needs to happen in the story, that's when they say just let it happen, make it happen. You know, if something's a little more uncertain or a little more dangerous or whatever, then that's when you bring the dice in and make a move. And there are moves for pretty much everything. Anything that possibly could happen, there's probably a move for it. And if not, there's probably something close that you can get there. And then, not to mention the Oracle tables with, there's a move called Ask the Oracle, and that's literally what the move is go roll on an Oracle table and get inspiration. I believe you rolled on that table earlier. That's the action and theme tables, and that's a great way to what is this character's motivation? What is a general we need a thing to do? This is something that's this town's having an issue. What is the issue? And we can roll on that action and theme table and be like, oh, they need this thing done, and then we can kind of extrapolate from there. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, this has been great. Loving Starforged already. Looking forward to the next session, and there's a link in the description to both. There's a link to the Ironsworn website. I don't believe that currently, Starforged is not currently available to the public. It's available to Kickstarter backers. And I think they may have closed late backing. I don't know, but keep an eye out for when that does go public. Also on their website is the link talking about the original Ironsworn, which is a fantasy version of this game. They did update some of the rules for Starforged, so Starforged is a slightly more up to date version of the rules set. But if I'm not mistaken, regular Ironsworn, the PDF for it is free on DriveThruRPG. So you think you can buy physical copies of the book, and I believe there's another supplement called Delve, which deals with more dungeon delving type adventures. But I believe the PDF for the original Ironsworn is free. There's also a link down below to the Raven Rolls channel, so check that out. And like the YouTubers say, like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever, all that stuff. But I'm looking forward to the next session, hopefully in 2 weeks. What's what we're looking for. And I'm also in the process right now of putting together a group of people to play a Power Rangers game using the Mecha Hack. Been working on some supplemental rules for that, and I'm wanting to get a group together for the playtest. We're so close. I think we're one person short of putting together a playtest for that. So keep an eye out for that. And I enjoyed the stream, and we'll see you next time.